Hello, what we're going to talk about is converting percentages and decimals to each other. And we'll begin by talking about converting percentages to decimals. Before we do that, I want to go over both ways. Is that whenever you have a decimal and you add a percent symbol to it, it means that you've multiplied it by 100, which means that you've turned around and you've moved that decimal point that was here, you've moved it two places. One, two, and now this is where the decimal place ends up. And whenever you remove a percent symbol, it's just like dividing, and that means you're going to move the decimal place. So the decimal place was here, and that means you're going to move it two places to the left. Okay, and we'll look at that. Some of y'all have been taught this, but I also want you to be able to understand exactly what's going on here. So whenever I have 50% and I'm going to convert this to a decimal, what that means is that I end up with this 50 divided by 100. In essence, is what the problem is that I have. And simplifying, that ends up as 1/2, and 1/2 is equal to 0.5. Well, let's look at just moving the decimal point. If I move the decimal point, and I'll rewrite this right here, if I move the decimal point, again, I'm viewing this as a number 50. So the decimal point is initially there. If I move it two places to the left, because I'm removing the percent symbol, 1, 2, I end up with 0.5. So 50% is equivalent to 0.5, which we even saw it's 1/2. This should be one of them that clicks with you. 50% of something is half of something. And how do we say half as a decimal? 0.5. Always pick easy examples to make sure you get your bearing about the problem you're doing. Okay, here's one that's a little bit more complicated. And what we'll do is we'll look at it like this. We're going to look at saying, okay, so I'm going to get rid of that percent symbol. I'm going to remove the percent symbol, and that means to divide by 100, or to move the decimal places two places to the left. 1, 2. It was here, and now it ends up here. So what that's saying is 0.87. And granted, I agree, that's easier than taking 87 and dividing by 100. But I'm going to show you this. What I'm saying is 87 divided by 100. 100 cannot go into 87, so let me add some zeros. Can 100 go into 870? Yes, it can. It can go in there 8 times. So 8 times 100 is 800. And I'm left with 70, and I drop a 0. Can 100 go into 700? Yes, 7 times. See, same thing. Whenever you multiply and divide by multiples of 10, especially 10, 100, 1000, it is a matter of just moving the decimal place, or what we even say is adding zeros or taking zeros away. Alright, so 4%. There's my number 4, and there's my initial decimal point. For what we know is we're removing the percent sign, so that means move the decimal place 2 spots to the left. 1, 2. Well, there's nothing there. 0 is your space filler. You always use zeros to fill in the space. So I just add a 0 to it, and I put my new decimal point there. So what I end up having is 4% is equal to 0.04. 13.8. I actually have a decimal point on this one because I have a number in the tenths place. Again, I'm removing the percent symbol, so that means 2 places to the left is where I move the decimal. 1, 2. That's my new spot right there. So what I'm left with is 0.138. Now, I want to convert decimals to percentages. What I'm saying is I'm going to multiply by 100. whenever I'm adding that percent symbol on. I'm not changing the value of it, it's just that's what the percent symbol means. I've multiplied by 100. So what this actually is saying is 0.25 times 100. 5 times 0, 0, 0, 5. Put in my space filler because now I'm over in the tens place. And 0, 0, 2. And then 0 times all those 0. So I can stop there. I add them together. I get 0, 0, 25. I have 2 spots for the decimal, so 1, 2 spots. I end up with 25. And since I've multiplied 100, since I'm converting this to a percent, I say 25 and then I put the percent symbol in there. Or I can view it as saying, okay, the percent symbol means 1 times 100. So I just moved the decimal place 2 places to the right. So 0.25, and I'm going to go 2 spaces to the right. 1, 2. That's my new decimal place, and then I put a percent symbol on it. So what this equals is 25%. We'll move the decimal place on this one. 0.375. I'm converting this to a percentage. That means I need to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. So 1, 2. And what I end up with, there's my new decimal place, 37.5. This equals 37.5%. Next, I need to convert 0.02 from a decimal to a percent. Two places to the right. 1, 2. Add the percent symbol onto there, and I end up with 2%. 0.5. What I'm saying here, and we'll do the multiplication on this, I'm saying I'm going to convert this decimal to a percentage, so that means I'm going to multiply by 100, correct? And I end up with 500, and I have to come over 1 with my decimal, so there's my decimal place there. I get 50, so that equals 50%. Or I can view it as moving the decimal. I need to move the decimal place 2 places to the right. So 1, 2. Put a 0 in there as my space filler, right? And what that equals is 50%. Okay guys, that is converting percentages to decimals and decimals to percentages. Please watch the publisher's videos. Critically think and structure your homework. Make your homework neat, please. Write everything out. And good luck on your remaining homework.